Now, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike says it is against the constitution of the People's Democratic Party for both the national chairman and the presidential candidate to come from the same region. He's insisting that Yocha Ayu must go based on earlier commitments made. Speaking on Thursday at the inauguration of a campus of the Rivers State University in Ahuada East local government area of the state, Wike says he has done nothing wrong than demanding for justice and fairness in the PDP. According to him, it is unfortunate that those who ganged up to pull the party down in 2015 are now accusing him of anti-party activities.
We are talking about Ayu said if the presidential candidate comes from the north, that he will resign. By the convention of our party, that the candidate of our party, the chairman of our party, will come from the south. When the North Central met in the house of Governor Bala Muhammad, Governor Bauchi State, he sent soldier. When he made the caucus of the Senate, he told them that. Now, when we finish our convention on a Saturday to Sunday, the candidate of the party came to see me in my house in Abuja on Monday, around 10:30 a.m. And that's what I don't like in this country. The candidate told me, I said, listen, I want us to work together. And then he said, look, Ayu must go. I said, why? He said, because when a candidate comes from the north, the chairman will come from the south. And I'm saying, implement what you told me. What offense have I committed? What offense have I committed? And people are just, wicked. It's nothing to do with wicked. It's got to do with integrity.
Well, joining us to x-ray all of this development in Nigeria's main opposition is the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Debo Ologunagba, who is also a former member of the House of Representatives. Thank you so much for joining us, Debo.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
This must be a tough time to be the Publicity Secretary of the PDP.
I think I would describe it as interesting time and challenging time and then revealing times. I think it's okay.
Okay, talk to us about the NEC meeting yesterday that was held amidst all of this. A lot of Nigerians were awaiting a very, very firm resolution on this critical issue between Wike and Atiku and Ayu. But it's only the side of your boss, the leader of the National Working Committee. Let me not say your boss because he was elected just like you at the National Convention. It's only Ayu that got a vote of confidence alongside the NWC, but we didn't hear about Wike getting some justice. According to him, he wants some justice in the midst of all of this. You also had the PDP BOT chairman resigning to assuage the feelings of those, especially from the south. And someone from the south was brought in, former president of the Senate, Adolphus Wabara. But it looks like despite these measures, Wike is not still satisfied, including governors that are with him and some other groups within the southern part of the country.
Thank you very much once again for having me. I think we should have a background about the PDP. That the PDP is People's Democratic Party. And because it's a party properly so called, it has processes, it has organs, it has rules, it has regulations, and it has a constitution, which guides all the affairs of the party. In the course of this, the party, aside from all these organs, have what I discuss and have always described as a robust dispute resolution mechanism. And that's what you saw play out yesterday. I need us to have a reflection about two statements from the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Ndidi Olumelu, and the acting Board of Trustee Chairman, former Senate President Adolphus Wabara. They emphasize unity. Now, it is important for us as a party to be united. I have said that severally, and particularly in your show, that reconciliation it's not a 100-meter dash. It is a marathon. And you can see that playing out. One thing is clear from yesterday, and that should be emphasized to the whole world, that this is not a fight about somebody winning and somebody losing. We're conscious of the responsibility and the expectation of Nigerians on this party. And on the basis of that, we take every action, and we'll take every action and take every step that is necessary to ensure the unity and that we're unified to go into the election of 2023. Why? Because the Nigerian has placed so much hope on PDP as a party. And to that extent, the expectation is that we must engage ourselves, irrespective of the seeming differences right now, to ensure that every part of the party, every stakeholder, every leader feels comfortable enough. And in the course of that, there are processes already ongoing and are set up that will ensure that that unity is brought about. The expectation of Nigeria is welcome. Each time we talk about PDP, I'm excited. Why? Nigerians want to engage this party because their hope is already lashed and connected to this party. And they're saying, what are you doing? We're looking up to you. Put it together so that we can start the rescue and rebuilding process from the cliff that we are as a country, from the doldrum that the APC has put us. So we're conscious of that. So that tells you that at the NEC recognized the need for that. And every organ, every individual, every leader within the NWC and National Working Committee, the Board of Trustees, the Governor Forum, and of course, ultimately the NEC, the National Executive Committee of the party, recognize this importance. And that's why yesterday the party came together from every part of this country. And they recognized the need for us to work as a team. And in their wisdom, in the wisdom of NEC, a passive vote of confidence on the NWC, so that they can continue with that process of engaging every sector, giving a sense of belonging to the members of the party from wherever part of the country they come from, so that we can move together to look at the bigger picture beyond the PDP.
Yeah, but when people didn't see, when Nigerians didn't see Wike there, and then immediately after your NEC meeting, we had the soundbites coming from Wike, do you think that the NEC resolutions have helped to engender peace in the PDP?
Again, I go back to my first point. The reconciliation is not a 100-meter dash. Look, Governor Wike is an important member of this party. He is a phenomenon in this party. He has contributed immensely to this party development. But equally, he has benefited immensely from this party. He recognizes that. And I do know that Governor Wike will not do anything that will jeopardize the interest of this party and by extension the interest of Nigeria.
Well, he's already doing that. I mean, if you listen to his soundbite, sorry, I just have to interject. Yesterday, he actually pointed out that the PDP's presidential candidate, in fact, the party's hierarchy is looking at someone getting some support from somebody in the APC-led federal government in the presidency. And that assurance that they've got from that person in the presidency is what they are using to be arrogant about. I mean, he kept saying it, that the PDP presidential candidate and the party are arrogant about that because they've received an assurances from the APC. And this will be confusing to a lot of your party members and Nigerians.
I do know that, and I'm going to refer to the wonderful man, the leader, Wike is in the party. And I said, that's why I want to re-emphasize this again. Our interest right now is to go to every channel, and that is ongoing. And I will tell you what we're doing right now. But I can tell you this. I recall that Governor Wike, sometimes ago, well-respected member of our party and leader of our party, outstanding member, he has said publicly, and said, if we have headache, you don't go look for cancer. Particularly at the
remember that interview.
And then he said the APC is cancerous at the last level of terminal illness. Of course, he's a smart man. He's a smart politician, I'm sure. those comments, I want to situate them in the context of that overall, he would prefer that we sit down here, like he said, that he will sit in the PDP, and if there are issues there, he will sit here to resolve it. And I believe that he will, because there's so many multiple channels of communication. I'll give you an example now. We recognize the need for reconciliation. We recognize the need for accommodation and for inclusiveness. As I speak, the National Working Committee has been constituted into a committee of the whole to begin to reach out to every important and all stakeholders in this party. And you see that happening. Behind the scene, the president candidate, of course, is reaching out. Some of these are not for the clear lights. It's not here to discuss that. But because human nature is involved, emotions are involved, interests are involved, all those considerations are there, so you discuss that in such a way that it will be conducive. You will be aware that several levels of communications are going on. They actually met in the United Kingdom. That tells you that it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, but it's taking too long. Isn't it taking too long for PDP to resolve this? Because if Atiku cannot unify his party, then why do you call him a unifier? How can he unify Nigerians? Isn't this taking too long?
Exactly. I recognize that. And each time you talk about the PDP, again, you want to step back and understand that this is a party that have organs, that have processes, that have its constitution, regulations and rules, and abides with it as a law-abiding organization. And I give this in contrast because, again, we must describe like for like. I had this conversation from some other sources. Oh, the APC have moved faster than PDP. But the APC has no organs. They have no neck. They have no board of trustee. They are a sole administrator company, as it were, because I describe them as an SPV.
About their national caucus, I know they transfer the powers of the NEC to the National Working Committee, but the national caucus is there.
Absolutely. I just say that when you have a national executive committee, that is the highest policy making body, and if you now delegate that to a group of people, that every action must be taken. As a contrast, only yesterday, our party, the NEC, approved the organogram for the campaign council. And we said, in addition to that we should have some other leverage in case in the implementation there are issues. We need to come back to NEC to get approval. I would say, look, give us some leeway within this bound. That's how to run an organization. That's how to run a nation. That's why we're in this problem. Sole administrator. Where one man speaks, it becomes law.
Isn't it because you are not in power? Because, I mean, when the PDP used to be in power, it used to be as arrogant as some other people may seem like.
Well, I don't know what you mean by arrogance, but in the arrogance in quote that you reference, we still follow due process. We still follow the organs. How can you delegate the power, say, on the company? Take an example of a limited liability company or a public company. You delegate the power of the board of directors to the managers without supervision. What do you expect? Chaos. And you see, the so-called silence in APC is deafening and is the quiet and peace of the graveyard. You know, in the graveyard, nobody speaks.
Okay, so it's going to show up during the campaigns. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, they can deal with it because, again, they're not a party. It's a special purpose vehicle. And when you create a special purpose vehicle, it has a purpose. Yeah. When that purpose is achieved, then you begin to dissolve it. And that's what you see.
If there is a special purpose vehicle, why is a key member of the PDP, a very strong member of the party, Governor Nyesom Wike, saying that your party has cut a deal with this SPV that you're making reference to? Tell us, have you cut a deal with the APC or with someone in the presidency of the APC to win the 2023 elections?
I don't comment on speculations. I'm not a witness, or I wasn't a party to that conversation. I do not want to challenge.
Coming from Wike, I mean, I'm making that statement against Atiku Abubakar and the PDP that someone in Buhari's presidency is giving them some hope that they will win the 2023 election, that they are supporting them. Isn't that a very strong statement that the PDP
for me,
should think about?
The confidence and the hope of the PDP is in the Nigerian people. And we have emphasized that. Even in every step that we take, every action we have taken so far is with the reference to the Nigerian people, because ultimately the power resides in them. An assurance by an individual, I don't want to comment on that, whoever it is, but I do know that we believe in the Nigerian people because we are in tandem with the situation in the country today, where life expectancy is almost zero, where insecurity is there, where our kids are not in school, and we have a government that is insensitive, where a governor of the APC from Kogi State will come out on a video and say that he is going to have a fierce light to burn people. That begins to tell us what character is made up of that in that party. So for us, what we're concerned is about the Nigerian people. Our power lies in the people. And that's why the messaging that we're sending to the Nigerian people is resonating. An example there, in Abuja, the PDP won. Even the state of government, the PDP won the AMAC elections. In Osun State, the PDP won because our messaging of hope is resonating with Nigerian people. We want to keep at that. But in doing that, we want to ensure that we are unified. And there are sectors and there are sections of the party and structures, some of which may not be visible to us, we can't see on the clear light, that are available. And I'm sure, I'm very confident that Governor Wike, as a very strong member of this party, will, at the appropriate time, and not too far away from now, ensure that he will lead Nigerians, along with other leaders of the party, away from the brink that the APC has put us.
And if he doesn't cut a deal himself with the APC that you're talking about, I mean, I've heard all of this at the background, and these are very strong statements that we are hearing. It may be pointing somewhere. Again, but very quickly, let's talk about the composition of your National Campaign Council, the Presidential Campaign Council of the PDP. Do you have a DG at the moment? And is that DG Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State?
Right here, as I speak to you, the answer is no. We don't have yet. What we got at the neck, I see, when we begin to understand how organization work, particularly if it is structured and has organs and has several decision-making process. The neck, what the NWC, the National Working Committee, took to the net is, we have an organogram. We have this structure that we're recommending and that we're proposing for the campaign. And we would get approval of that. Thereafter, we begin to populate. The population has not even started. Of course, it's ongoing because it's an ongoing, you don't just do it in one day.
You're losing time.
I'm saying because we need everybody to be on board. We need every interest to be involved.
Yeah, but we have 3 weeks to the campaign season, and people are saying PDP, being an established party, a legacy party, is here to compose the National Campaign Council, and you are not worried?
I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this because so many things go underground. For instance, the campaign structure in my unit, for instance, of course I know them, but they've not been made public. Does that mean they're not working? No, they're working. We wait for the announcement. It is not on the day that we announce that I begin to work. They've been working beneath. But in the course of this, we want every interest. Inclusiveness is what we ask for. And what is different in this campaign council is this. We have a kind of what I call streamlined, coordinated campaign structure this time around. That the same National Campaign Council that takes care of the national, we have National Campaign Management Committee, as well in the states, local government, ward, and the units. Because that's where the votes are.
Yeah, and that's where the Nigerian was saying that the polling unit is his target this time around. He doesn't want Abuja-based politicians just seated here. Tell us about that.
At the NEC yesterday, a decision is going to pass that we're going to have a pyramid kind of organization where we're lean at the top and broad at the base, so that there are more people, because that's where the votes are. Because that's where
because of the fear of other political parties like the APC or Labour Party.
We're conscious, and I'll tell you why we're conscious. You recall that the INEC described and commended PDP as the most digital compliant party in this country today. You recall during the uploading of names. Rising from that, recognizing that position as leader in that regard, and knowing the changes in the electoral, particularly with the beavers, we know that elections cannot be written anymore. Result cannot be written, or it will be more difficult to write results because the beavers input. So what we have done, we have taken special care to ensure that that structure will be from the base. One, that's where the Nigerian people live. That's where the pains are. That's where they can't get electricity. That's where they can't pay school fees. That's where they die.
And of course, you have these other political parties to deal with because they are also doing the same. The APC is going right to the grassroots and hitting people. And of course, you see what people are doing with Labour Party and NMPP. Yeah. Aren't you so afraid that these other newer political parties are eating so much into your votes? Because what I've heard people saying right now is that the NMPP and the Labour Party, they are the extension, they are an extension of the People's Democratic Party, and it's votes that it could have got if it was united.
We are united and we're moving forward. Do we have challenges? Yes, we do. But we're working on that. I want to draw your attention to the Northwest rally that we had in Kano. I wish you were there. Of course, the pictures are there, the videos are there. Your reporters were right there on ground. You could report. It was a tsunami because the people know the PDP. They know it's a People's Democratic Party, not one-man party. If you mention LMPP today, the people will tell you that's Kwankwaso Party. There's no sense of belonging. It's a sole administrator. The APC today has a sole administrator in Adamu Abdai, the chairman. That's what they up to.
But he was elected, I mean.
No.
An elected
he was elected, but then they delegated the leg power to him. So he can sit down in his bedroom and choose who can do this. We don't do that. That's why they can't. And when you talk about speed, it's better to err on the side of caution and do the right thing than on the speed. Now, APC has structure, also the core council. But did you go through the process? Or someone saw that someone and just say, oh, I like your face, you can be there. Here, we're developing it. Every segment, every party member must be connected, must be involved in our process. Okay. That's why we have the pyramid kind of structure we're getting right now.
All right, Debo Ologunagba. As we try to round off this conversation, in essence, can you say that the decisions reached at the BOT meeting, which eventually culminated in the National Executive Committee meeting, has settled all the geopolitical zones? Have your decisions settled all the grievances in the 6 geopolitical zones in terms of those who are to emerge and hold leadership positions at the PDP, at the party itself?
Again, when you say this, you're asking me, you're asking for a one-size-fits-all meeting. No, it's a process, and you discuss. The Board of Trustees chairman resigned yesterday, and we got a new Board of Trustees chairman, and then you see some movement. Because this is not a 100-meter dash, and because interest, human nature involved, we continue to have this conversation. But what we need to emphasize is that we as a party are not divided to the point of, oh, these are losers, these are winners. No, we want to come together. We're coming together. The Unity Forum is working. Slow it might be, but it's important in the interest of Nigerian people, so that when we take off, we'll be taken off as one united family in the interest of the Nigerian people and in the interest of our country, to ensure that we come together, having that mission of rescuing and rebuilding Nigeria. Well, I can tell you that.
I argue with you that the PDP itself needs rescuing before you talk of rescuing Nigeria at the moment. But
precisely, if you use that word, rescuing is the fact that we're able to conduct a national convention that was free, several primaries that were free, then getting commendation from INEC. It means we have reformed ourselves, and we're now more included, and we're more digital because, and we're ready for the election because we know we must change with the times. That's what organic organizations do. Ability to be dynamic in the changing times and in changing procedures. So
now very quickly, can you confirm if Seyi Makinde, governor of Oyo State, is the PDP Governors Forum chairman?
Again, as at this time, I can tell you I am not aware, because if it is, I will be in a position to know. And if that is true, again, The Governors Forum Director General released a statement last night saying that it didn't happen, that the governor of Sokoto says to remain.
Yeah, but some of the statements we had heard was that there was some form of agreement at the NEC meeting for Tambuwal to step down, become the DG of the party, and Seyi Makinde to become the PDP chairman of the PDP government to balance it geopolitically.
See, you can have alternative view, but there can be no alternative fact. The facts of the matter, that I was a member of the NEC, I was there, I took active role, I played active role in that meeting. That was not part of the issue. The issues on the table yesterday, one was organogram, two zonal reconciliation committees, and manifesto committee. Those were the real issues. Those are the agenda. Other issues were discussed, but that never came up. It didn't happen, and it's been refuted. But again, we know this cyberspace is interesting now.
But very quickly, when are we expecting the manifesto of the PDP?
We have a committee working on that now. Of course, they've started before. Like I said, you start a process. But because we're organic and we follow due process, we must go back to the highest body to say, look, we're doing this. We need you to give your approval. That's what we've done. It's going on. And I believe before the campaign starts, of course, the manifesto of the party will be on, because it's a very wide consultation from people that are even apolitical, specialists, professors in university, to help us chart a course through manifesto.
All right, Debo Ologunagba is the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, as a former federal lawmaker at the House of Representatives, and of course, a lawyer by profession. We must thank you immensely for helping us to understand these issues. And a lot of Nigerians are actually worried for the PDP, because it's almost like it has become an institution of our democratic practice since 1999. If anything happens to it, well,
no,
it may affect our.
I can give you the assurance that Nigeria. Look, this is the oldest political party in Nigeria ever.
Yeah, I mean, yes. For now, yeah.
And that tells something about the party. It has not crashed.
All right.
There have been differences, but of course they will come together, and we are good. We're determined.
We have to go, Debo. We must thank you immensely.
Thank you very much for having me.